Have you ever spoken clearly, sincerely, only to feel like your words just vanished into thin air? Like no one truly heard you? As we grow older, we realize that being heard isn't about volume, it's about presence. It's not about saying more, it's about saying it with purpose. I used to think that if I just explained myself a little better, a little louder, people would listen. But all it did was drain me. One day, after a long conversation where I felt ignored, I paused, not out of frustration, but reflection. And that's when I discovered what the Stoics had known all along: respect isn't given to those who demand it. It's given to those who embody it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are steady, your words will follow. You don't need to shout to be heard. You need clarity. You need calm. You need conviction. In this video, we'll explore 6 Stoic communication habits that will help you speak with strength and be truly heard. If you're ready to reclaim your voice, not with noise, but with wisdom, then stay with me. Let's begin. Principle 1. Eliminate the "I'm sorry" habit. Have you ever noticed how often we say "I'm sorry" for things that aren't really our fault? Maybe you've apologized for speaking up during a meeting, for asking a question, or even for simply existing in someone's path at the grocery store. It seems small, polite even. But over time, these little sorries start chipping away at how others see us, and worse, how we see ourselves. I remember a moment that changed everything for me. I was in a meeting, mid-sentence, when someone interrupted. And without thinking, I said, "Oh, sorry, go ahead." But as the words left my mouth, something hit me. Why was I apologizing for being interrupted? Why was I making myself smaller to make others comfortable? That was the day I realized I had been giving away my presence, one unnecessary apology at a time. The Stoics believed that our words shape our reality. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastering your words is one of the most powerful ways to take control of your life. Saying "I'm sorry" when you've truly done something wrong is honorable. But saying it as a reflex, as a default, sends the message that you're unsure, unworthy, or burdensome. And that simply isn't true. So what can you do? Start by becoming aware. The next time you feel the urge to say sorry, pause. Ask yourself, did I really do something wrong? If not, rephrase. Instead of "sorry for bothering you," say, "Do you have a moment?" Instead of "sorry I'm late," say, "Thanks for waiting." These small shifts don't just change the words, they change the energy. They project clarity, not guilt. Confidence, not apology. And here's something else I've learned: when you stop over-apologizing, people begin to treat your words with more weight. You're no longer seen as someone who's unsure, you become someone worth listening to. So if you're someone who says "I'm sorry" more out of habit than necessity, today is a good day to change that. Speak with intention. Own your space. And remember, you are not an inconvenience, you are a person of value. Drop the habit. Keep your dignity. Let your presence speak without apology. Principle 2. Set boundaries and stick to them. Have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Maybe it was staying late to help a coworker who didn't pull their weight. Or attending an event you had no interest in, just because declining felt too uncomfortable. If so, you're not alone. Many of us were raised to believe that saying yes makes us kind. But Stoic wisdom offers a powerful reminder: kindness without boundaries isn't kindness, it's self-neglect. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That includes your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. And the hard truth is this: if you don't set your own boundaries, someone else will. I learned this the hard way. Years ago, a friend asked me to help them move. My weekend was packed, I was already running on fumes, but I said yes anyway. I spent 2 exhausting days lifting boxes, pushing through my own fatigue, not out of love, but out of guilt. And afterward, I didn't feel appreciated. I felt resentful. Not at them, but at myself. Because deep down, I knew I had the power to say no. I just didn't use it. That was my turning point. I realized that every time I said yes to something I didn't want to do, I was saying no to something that truly mattered: my rest, my priorities, my peace. From that moment on, I made a simple rule: if it's not a wholehearted yes, it's a no. No long explanations. No apologizing. Just clarity and respect, for myself and for others. Here's the beauty of it: people respect you more when you respect yourself. When you calmly state your boundaries and stick to them, you teach others how to treat you. Not with entitlement, but with consideration. So how do you start? Begin small. If someone invites you out and you'd rather stay home, just say, "I'm staying in tonight." No need for a lengthy excuse. If a neighbor asks a favor you can't fulfill, try, "I won't be able to help with that, but I hope it goes well." Boundaries are like muscles: the more you use them, the stronger they get. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. And those who truly value you will understand. Those who don't, they were never truly respectful in the first place. Own your time. Guard your energy. And never apologize for honoring your limits. Principle 3. Master the art of pausing. Do you remember a moment when silence spoke louder than anything you could have said? In a world obsessed with fast replies and constant chatter, pausing, truly pausing, has become a lost art. But the Stoics knew better. Seneca wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through suffering." And for many of us, that's how we learn it, through experience. I learned it in a boardroom. Years ago, I gave a presentation I'd worked hard on. I knew my stuff, so I dove in quickly, rattling off every point, barely taking a breath. I didn't want to lose their attention, or worse, be interrupted. When I finished, the room was quiet. But not in the good way. They looked overwhelmed. Disconnected. Later that day, a colleague gave me some gentle advice: "You didn't give your words room to breathe." That stuck with me. The next time, I tried something different. I slowed down. I paused after key points. I let the silence do some of the talking. And what happened surprised me: people leaned in. They nodded. They remembered what I said. Not because I said more, but because I said it with weight. You see, when you pause, you show control. You signal confidence. You give your thoughts time to land, and your audience time to absorb. You turn a speech into a message, and a moment into something meaningful. This isn't just about giving speeches. It's about how you speak to your spouse, your kids, your doctor, even yourself. When someone says something upsetting, your first instinct might be to fire back. But what happens if you pause instead? Just for a moment? That pause can shift the entire tone of the conversation. It gives you power, not over others, but over yourself. Here's a simple practice: next time you speak, pick one point you really want to be heard. Say it. Then stop. Just a beat. Let the silence give it weight. Over time, this becomes natural. And when it does, your words carry more authority, because you're not speaking to fill the air. You're speaking to be understood. Marcus Aurelius said, "Think before you speak." But when the moment comes to act, do not hesitate. Pausing isn't hesitation. It's wisdom. It's presence. And in a noisy world, it's how you make your voice truly heard. So breathe. Slow down. And let silence become your strength. Principle 4. Use humor without becoming a clown. Has your sense of humor ever backfired, leaving you feeling less respected, not more? Humor, when used well, is one of the most powerful tools we have. It can break tension, connect people, and lighten heavy moments. But if used carelessly, it can do the opposite. It can chip away at your credibility and leave people laughing at you, not with you. Seneca once said, "Laughter should not be abundant, nor should it be absent." Like many things in life, balance is everything. I remember early in my career, I used humor as a shield. Whenever I felt nervous or uncertain, I'd crack a joke. If I didn't know the answer in a meeting, I'd make fun of myself before anyone else could. People laughed, but over time, I noticed something: I wasn't being taken seriously. My ideas were brushed aside. My presence was warm, but not respected. One day, a mentor pulled me aside and said, "You're smarter than your jokes. Stop selling yourself short." That woke me up. Humor should be a window, not a mask. It should show your humanity, not hide your insecurity. A well-timed, light-hearted comment can make you relatable. But too many jokes, especially those that put yourself down, send the message that you're not confident or serious. So how do you strike the right balance? First, ask yourself, what's the purpose of this joke? Is it to ease tension? Build connection? Make a point more memorable? If it doesn't serve the moment, leave it out. Second, be cautious with self-deprecating humor. A little humility can be charming. But repeated jokes at your own expense don't show humility, they show doubt. Third, read the room. What might feel funny to you could come across as dismissive or unprofessional to someone else. Timing, tone, and audience matter more than the punchline. And finally, don't use humor to avoid discomfort. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is speak plainly. Say what you mean. Be direct. Let the moment be real. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Let your words be few and well considered." That includes humor. When you use it with wisdom, people will not only enjoy your company, they'll also respect your voice. So laugh, yes, but never at the cost of your dignity. Let your humor lift the room, not shrink your presence. Principle 5. Drop the gossip. Is what you're about to say helping, or just adding noise? In everyday conversations, it's easy to slip into gossip without realizing it. A casual remark here, a judgment there, and suddenly, the focus shifts from meaningful connection to whispering about someone who isn't in the room. But here's the truth: gossip doesn't build trust, it erodes it. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, walk away from gossip, even if it makes you look odd. Why? Because integrity always outlasts popularity. I remember a time in my career when gossip swirled through the office like wildfire. It wasn't always cruel, it was often masked as concern or venting. I found myself participating, not out of malice, but out of habit. One day, I overheard my own name in a whispered hallway conversation. That moment hit hard. It made me realize, if I was talking about others, surely others were talking about me. That was the day I decided, no more. Gossip may feel like bonding in the moment, but it's a weak foundation. It chips away at trust, breeds division, and worst of all, it reflects more about you than the person being discussed. People may laugh with you, but they won't confide in you. Not when they sense your loyalty depends on who's listening. So how do you step away from gossip gracefully? Start by recognizing it. Gossip isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's disguised as checking in or just being honest. The rule is simple: if it doesn't involve you and it doesn't serve a purpose, it's gossip. Next, redirect. You don't have to make a scene. Just change the subject gently. "I hope they're doing okay. So, what's going on with you lately?" People take the hint. You set a tone, without judgment, but with strength. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Let your words reflect that. Speak about ideas, not people. Focus on what lifts you, and others, higher. Because when you speak with integrity, people don't just hear you. They trust you. And trust, once earned, is more powerful than any story you could ever whisper. Principle 6. Know when to stop talking. Have you ever made a great point, then kept talking until it lost its punch? It's something we've all done. We want to make sure we're understood. We want to sound smart, thorough, persuasive. But often, the more we say, the less people hear. Because wisdom isn't in more words, it's in the right words, said at the right time. Epictetus once advised, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in unimportant matters. In other words, you don't have to prove yourself constantly. And sometimes, the strongest voice in the room is the one that knows when to go quiet. I learned this lesson years ago, during a salary negotiation. I stated what I believed I was worth, clearly and confidently. But then, I got nervous. I kept talking. I explained, I justified, I rambled. And with every extra word, I gave away my power. I watched the confidence in my message drain from the conversation. Later, a mentor told me, you had them in the first 30 seconds. Then you talked them out of it. That stuck with me. From that moment on, I began to embrace the pause and the full stop. I practiced making my point and then letting it breathe. Letting it land. It felt strange at first, but over time, I noticed a shift. People began listening more carefully. They took my words more seriously. Not because I spoke more, but because I stopped when it mattered. The truth is, many of us talk too much out of fear of being misunderstood, ignored, or dismissed. But ironically, the more we explain, the more we dilute our message. The Stoics believed in speaking with precision, not volume. Marcus Aurelius said, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others unless it brings benefit. The same goes for speech, don't speak more than necessary. Here's a practical rule. Before you say something, ask, is this clear, or am I just filling space? When in doubt, stop. Trust that silence doesn't weaken your words, it protects them. Remember, it's not your job to fill every silence. It's your job to respect the moment. So say your truth. Say it with clarity. And when you've said enough, stop. Because sometimes, knowing when to stop talking is the most powerful thing you'll ever say. Conclusion. At this stage in life, you've seen a lot, said a lot, and learned what truly matters. And if there's one truth that Stoic wisdom makes clear, it's this: respect isn't something you demand, it's something you embody. When you eliminate unnecessary apologies, people hear your confidence. When you set boundaries, they learn how to treat you. When you pause, they lean in. When you use humor with purpose, they trust your judgment. When you avoid gossip, they admire your integrity. And when you know when to stop talking, your words carry real weight. These are not tricks. They're not gimmicks. They're timeless habits of those who carry themselves with quiet strength. In a world full of noise, it's the calm, thoughtful voice that people remember and respect. So ask yourself, which of these principles will you start living today? Because the way you speak reflects the way you live. And the way you live, especially now, is your legacy. Speak with wisdom. Carry yourself with intention, and never forget, your presence is powerful, even in silence.